So the truth is, I have no idea how my video blew up the way it did, but it did. So on the one hand, good for me. On the other hand, I suppose it's time to get into this debate again. The sequel trilogy of the Star Wars movies. Oh boy. Look, I will say, I am going to have a bit of a rant during this video, but at the end, I do think I have a point about the sequel trilogy, and some people might not be okay with that, according to what I read in the comments on my fan edits. So maybe to those people, you don't want to watch this video, but if you want to actually hear me out, what I have to say about this, then please stick with me until the end. 4 years ago, before I relaunched my channel as the Dutch Star Wars guy, I decided to make a fan edit of the Rey and Kylo Ren fight scene in the Rise of Skywalker on the Death Star wreckage, because when I saw that scene, I was severely missing a score. There was hardly any score at all from John Williams, and usually John Williams makes very good scores for great lightsaber battles ever since Return of the Jedi, and of course the prequels had some of the best of them. And because of that, I was thinking probably I should use one of the prequel scores here. So I decided on Battle of the Heroes. Because when I had edited it together, I felt that score fit really well with the scene. Like, certain beats really jumped out at me like, oh, this is so much better, so much grander, so much more epic, simply because it had a score. So I was proud of that. I wanted to share that with everyone. The thing though is, the first 3 years that this video was live, no one watched it. Like, it didn't even get to 1,000 views, no comments, maybe a few likes here or there, but that was about it. And ever since last November, all of a sudden this spiked. And now I'm almost at 50,000 views. I got hundreds of likes on it and a bunch of comments. The issue though with the comments is that a lot of them are simply bashing the sequel trilogy rather than commenting on, did I do a good job with the edit? Which is, let's be fair, all I care about. Because I don't care about what you think of the sequel trilogy, or specifically the Rise of Skywalker, because the funny thing is, I also don't like the Rise of Skywalker. I know, shocking, right? I just try to improve one of the scenes in it to maybe make my experience with the movie better, and maybe your experience as well. So do you like it? Can you let me know in the comments here or on my fan edit if you actually like what I did with the edit, or if you think, oh no, this doesn't work. Just be honest, it's fine. That's really what I care about. It's like, you don't have to bash on the sequel trilogy, because this once again just shows me that people who hate the sequel trilogy will go everywhere online, on the internet, on every video, click on everything, quickly leave a comment of like, terrible. There's literally a comment, terrible, which I included in the thumbnail, but like, what do you think is terrible? They didn't elaborate, and I actually replied, what do you think is terrible? Fuck if I know. They never replied to it, because all they did was jump in. They were like, sequel trilogy, terrible, bye. Is that how it works these days? It's honestly, it's pathetic behavior that I just don't understand. And there's literally a comment admitting that it is worthy of their time to go everywhere on the internet and letting everyone know how much they hate the sequels, and how much they want to convince everyone to also hate the sequels. And I'm like, you're not going to convince me to hate the sequels, considering I have seen The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi well over 100 times in the past, well, decade that they have been out. I really love both of those movies. I didn't like The Rise of Skywalker because they kind of backtracked on the ideas and themes that they set up in the first two movies. But I still do like the first two of the sequel trilogy. But the thing is, my opinion, and whoever else's opinion on the sequel trilogy, can be discussed in a civilized way. And this is not it. This is against my entire philosophy of my channel. I want to be positive about Star Wars all the time, even if there's stuff that I don't like, because as I said, I freely admit to not liking The Rise of Skywalker, or Attack of the Clones, or Solo, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have plenty of projects of Star Wars that I don't like, but in general, I will try to not talk too much about that. If I have to address it, yeah, I will address it. I will quickly talk about it. But in general, I prefer to focus on what I like about the fandom, because I am a Star Wars fan. I like a whole lot of things about Star Wars, from the original trilogy to the prequels to the Clone Wars, Rebels, Andor, I like a whole lot of Star Wars, even in the modern day Disney era. And that's what I want to celebrate. So, especially if I have a video on my channel and I see that it's becoming a sequel hate magnet, I'm like, can we not do this? Please, can you all just go somewhere else on the internet where people care about that? Because it's like, I'm not here for that. And neither are a couple of other people. And actually, by the way, there are some people who went into the comment section trying to defend me and also trying to go against the toxic fans that jumped in saying, oh, it sucks, whatnot. And thank you so much to the people who did that, because, like, yeah, that's actually, like, what I'm trying to do with my channel. You're actually helping me in that regard, so good thing. But on the other hand, you know, there's so many people in that comment section just proving my point that I'm trying to make with this video. Like, people just feel the incessant need to constantly bash the thing that they claim to be a fan of. And I'm like, you're dumb. Why are you doing this? It makes no sense to me. And also, like, in this case, I try to improve something about something that I didn't like, because I'm like, okay, there's a way to maybe improve something to make sure that I get a better experience out of it. For example, I also recently talked about the Rogue One Andor cut, where I don't hate Rogue One or anything, but I do prefer the Andor cut because it is way more in line with the tone and style of Andor compared to what they did with Rogue One, which is more a prequel to the original Star Wars. And I felt already when I watched Rogue One the first time, and every time since before Andor came out, that there were a couple of things that I didn't really agree with. And I do think the Andor cut kind of fixed those issues that I had with Rogue One. So I'm like, there's always a way to improve it. We've also seen over the years that Star Wars themselves have tried to kind of fix issues that may not have been exact issues, but just try to give a slight bit of an explanation or some way to make maybe even a nitpick better for people. Something that people have complained about of one of the movies, it's like, okay, but if we do this, then we work around that problem and we actually give some kind of an explanation. Like when Han in the original Star Wars says it's a ship that made the Kessel run in 12 parsecs, and it's like, but parsec is a unit of distance, not time. And then Solo is like, well, this is how that works. Now, I never really needed the explanation for that because I kind of figured what had happened, but for the people, you know, who really wanted an explanation as to how that works in universe, they got it. And that is something that Star Wars has done, and also fans have done, and the same way that I was trying to do this with my fan edit. Like, let's try to improve something that I may not have liked in the first place, but just to make sure that I like it a bit better now, right? And also the thing is that even if you don't like the sequels, even if you really hate certain things, there's a way to just talk about that. You know, you can leave a comment and make it a little bit more elaborate than some of these comments and just express your exact issues so that we can have a discussion. This is what I do with, you know, my Star Wars nerd friends who also love the franchise but, you know, have issues with things. It's like, okay, we can have a discussion and discuss what our issues are and where we differ and why certain things worked and why certain things didn't work. Like, let's try to be civil. But I suppose that typing out a paragraph with that would take up too much time and effort. But then again, you are putting time and effort into going everywhere to let everyone know how much you hate the sequel. So maybe you can just focus that time and effort into one long comment where you actually type out a full paragraph in terms of why certain things in the sequel trilogy didn't work for you. That is a bit more constructive, and that's something that someone can reply to rather than just typing terrible. Because at this point, I still don't know if you think that the sequel trilogy is terrible or my fan edit. I mean, it's probably the sequel trilogy, but I'm not sure because all I have is this one comment saying terrible, right? Like, when it comes to these kind of comments, I always just think of a quote in Bambi.
If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
And I don't mean that in the way of like, if you don't like something, you are not allowed to say anything. No, of course not. But at the very least, try to be more constructive with it, or try to explain people your point of view. That is helpful. That is something that I can reply to, and then you can have a conversation. Because there was also someone in the comments that initially was very hateful, but then I replied a couple of times, and all of a sudden they started to, get to it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm at least getting through to someone. And that's good enough for me. If I am getting through to someone to indicate like, okay, your constant bashing, your constant hate is not good for anyone, also not for yourself. It's literally the dark side. And if they can then see that in themselves, then it's like, okay, maybe, hopefully, I'm actually getting through to you. And in the future, you may think for a moment before you comment, or you actually type out that paragraph that I was talking about. So please, can we please just get along, even if we have certain likes and dislikes that are different from one another when it comes to Star Wars. We are Star Wars fans. Be a fan. Celebrate what you like, and what you don't like, you don't have to interact with that. Don't interact with these rage bait people that are out there. I know they're out there. There are entirely too many of them, and it's very much what I'm not trying to accomplish with my channel. I am trying to be a positive channel that is as positive as I can be about Star Wars. And again, if there's something I don't like, I'll try to not talk about it as much as I can. And if there's something I love, I will try to talk about that more and more, because I'm like, I want to shine a spotlight on that because it deserves the praise. The Last Jedi. Yes, I adore The Last Jedi. I think it's a great movie. I've seen it more than 100 times. That is legit my opinion. And I want to talk about The Last Jedi more. The thing, though, is that unfortunately, because of the toxic fandom, I sometimes am a little bit scared to share my opinion on The Last Jedi, simply because I know that everyone will just jump on me, telling me how terrible they think it is. And I'm like, I know you think it is, according to you. But that's your opinion, and I have my own. Can we have a civilized discussion and just, not jump on anyone the instant that someone says that they love The Last Jedi?
So uncivilized.
Let's just try to respect each other's opinions, because everyone has a different point of view. I've very much learned that. And by the way, I will also say I was very different, let's say 10 years ago compared to how I am now. I've learned a lot over the last 10 years with interacting with people online, because social media has become such a big thing, and all of a sudden we're able to see all these opinions from all these people all around the world online. And it's like, okay, I've learned from that to a certain point that I think I have something meaningful to say on my channel, and I can actually make a channel that is respectful to a certain degree. And then there are certain videos that still attract hate, and I'm like, this is not what I'm trying to do here, please. So, yeah, that is, I think, all that I have to say in regards to the toxic side of the fandom and the fandom in general. And can you please let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of this in the comments below? What do you think of the state of the Star Wars fandom? Because I want to love it, especially if I go to something like a Star Wars celebration, everyone there loves Star Wars. And no one really talks about what they dislike, because you're there to celebrate Star Wars, right? That is a nice thing. I'd love to go to more celebrations, but unfortunately the tickets were sold out before I even got through the queue this time around. But otherwise, I would love to go there. But anyway, let me know what you think. What do you make of all of this? And can you also just please go to my fan edit and let me know what you think of the score that I added to the scene. That's all I really care about. I don't want to know about your opinion about the sequel trilogy, even if you love it or you hate it. It's like, that's not what the video is about. Let me know what you think of the edit. First and foremost, that's the most important thing for me. Oh, and there's also something that I want to know. If you've made it to this point in the video and you are one of those people who just goes everywhere to let everyone know how much you hate the sequels, and why do you do that? Can you let me know why you do that? What do you want to get out of it? Do you want people to agree with you? I just, this is the type of behavior that I really have a tough time understanding in the slightest. It's like, please let me know What do you think to get out of that? What do you think it contributes to any kind of discussion wherever you go? Like, why do you feel that need to go everywhere to let everyone know that you hate the sequel so much and they suck and whatnot? Because, yeah, it makes no sense. That is all I have to say. So please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars content, more positive Star Wars content in general, and until the next time, may the Force be with you.